Haha. So I'm in Barcelona. It's 1 in the morning here. And I am staying awake because my 17-year-old has gone out with a friend. And he's supposed to be home by 2. And I just checked his place of residence, and he is 3.9 miles away, which takes 22 minutes. What's that about? At this rate, I'll never get adjusted to the new time in Europe. I'll just stay on the old time. What time is it at home? 7 p.m. Yeah, I like to go to bed at 8, so that'll be perfect. So we are in Barcelona. My husband and I are 3 teenagers, and my parents brought us here for a trip, and they have taken us on several trips. This is number 3 or 4. About every other year, we've kind of chosen something to do, and I realize that is a privilege and something that not everybody gets to do, and I'm very appreciative and thankful to have that opportunity because it's really fun. And I wrote a post earlier, and I talked about how when I was a little girl, we traveled a lot, and my parents were pretty like average middle income. My mom's dad was a teacher, and my grandmother didn't work. And then my dad's dad was an IRS agent. My grandmother didn't work. So their idea of travel, they would get in a car and drive like 3 days to go to Florida because my grandmother's sister lived down there in the winter because her husband was a golf pro. So they would haul their 4 kids to Key Biscayne, and my dad would go down there. And my mom, I don't know where they went. But anyway, so my parents didn't grow up traveling. So when I was younger, my dad's an optometrist, and he would sign up on these like bus trips so that he could get hours, and they would take us. So we would go to the Grand Canyon in California. We'd be on a bus. It'd be us and a bunch of old people. I guess because all the older people are the ones getting the hours, and then these people that are like 30 with 2 small children. I mean, even my teenagers today, my mother told me I needed to tell them to stop roughhousing. We were in the Basilica Familia, which is like the largest Catholic church maybe in the world. Beautiful. So anyway, I mean, 3 teenagers, and they're not perfect. So we traveled when I was younger, and it was usually in August, and my older brother, it would be his birthday, and so he's like 16 with his younger sister on a, boat on the Danube or something, probably thinking like I could be home having the best time. But who it really bothered? It drove my grandparents crazy, my dad's parents, because they had worked, and then when they retired, they traveled, the 2 of them. That was really important to them. And so they were traveling, and then basically when they were traveling, we were also traveling. We never traveled together. But they would be like, I don't know why you're taking them on these trips, and they're not going to remember, and there's just no reason, and they can do this when they're older. Yes, Gaudi's Cathedral. Oh, it's incredible, Jan. I did a video for my subscribers I'll share later. So anyway, we went anyway, which was probably hard because I know if my parents have opinions on things, it really like bugs me. Like my dad wanted my oldest son to go to Wake Forest, and my oldest son didn't like Wake Forest, or did not like it, but he wanted to go to a bigger university. And my dad was like, I just don't know why you're not making him go to Wake Forest, because in our family, you just did what you were told. So anyway, we're parenting different, but we did travel. And my brother, as many of my followers know, but my brother died at 19. He was almost 20. He had cancer. Were your grandparents alive when your brother died? Yes, they were. My mom's parents were not, but my dad's parents were. That's so interesting you say that, because I don't remember them. I don't ever remember seeing them at all when he died. Gosh, that's strange. I have no recollection of them being there. But anyway, so he didn't get a chance to travel. And I think that always has resonated with our family, particularly with my parents and myself. And my mom and dad, I'm an only child now, default only child. And so a few years ago, we were talking about doing different things. And I said, if there was one thing I would love to do, but it's not quite in our price range because we have 4 children and, don't have that kind of money. I would love to take the children to travel. And about the same time, my dad's brother died, and they were really tight, and they always traveled together. So then at this point, my parents were kind of on their own, right? And they lost their traveling partner. And I remember saying, like, we can travel. And they were like, you have people. And I was like, well, they're good. Like, they're at a better age now. And so we did. I think Blair was maybe, she was probably about 10, about Amos's age. And we went to Alaska. And on the way to Alaska, we had gotten, half of them came down with the stomach bug in the airport, like the pukes. Thank goodness my parents were not with us. But when we got to this hotel, we actually flew into Canada in Vancouver. And we get to this hotel, and my mom and dad are waiting outside for us. And little Thomas sits down on a luggage cart and just retches on the sidewalk. See, that's the stuff you remember. You remember retching. You don't remember like, oh, I saw this, exhibit. You remember being together. And it was really important to me, one, because I wanted to make more memories with my own parents. And 2, I wanted my children to have the opportunity to make memories with my parents. And what better way to do that? What gift could they give them that would be as memorable as that? And to be honest, like, if I have extra money when I'm their age, I can't think of any way I would rather spend it than to do that. Does that mean everybody can afford it? No. Does everybody have parents that can afford it? No. Does that mean you're a crappy parent? No. You could go in your backyard and have a camp out. I mean, we do crap like that and love it. You could go stay in a cabin at Cape Lookout for $62 a night. It's not about going to Europe. It's about being together. It's about being together wherever you are. It's about being together. And I think you realize the together part. For me, the trip is about being together because I'm so thankful I had that time with my brother. And, I don't want my parents to leave me money. Like, really? They could leave me money so I can go on a trip. Like, I'd rather go on a trip with them now. Anyway, just being brutally honest, which I have a tendency to do, which is why I'm not like that YouTuber with 36 million followers. He's also young and hip and cute, wears a visor upside down and backwards. But anyway, so we're on this trip, and we do not have Amos here. It's taken me a long time to get to that. Amos is 10, and he is our youngest son, and he has not gone on these kind of big trips out of the country with us. And somebody commented tonight, well, where is Amos? Which is usually like a passive-aggressive question. Like, we know Amos is, it's just what you say when you're being passive-aggressive. Like, if you look fat, somebody says, I thought you were on the diet shot. You know damn well I was on the diet shot. So anyway, we didn't bring Amos. And I hate not having him here. I just miss him, and I just want nothing more than to have my whole family together. So when somebody says to me, I don't know why they leave him at home, or if he can go to the beach with his nanny, he could certainly go to Europe or I would never go on a family trip if everybody in my family couldn't go. And I'll tell you what, before I had an Amos, like, I would have probably said the same damn thing. But I have an Amos. And my other 3 children matter. They are important. Amos is important. My parents are important. And so I have to choose. I don't have to choose, I guess. I guess I could stay home and not go anywhere and not build memories with my parents and memories with my teenagers. But I'll tell you what, when I first started writing this blog, these Spaniards are so loud. When we first started writing this blog, you know, I was just saving myself. I had this little fella. I didn't have a diagnosis. I didn't have anything. I just was trying to figure out, like, I'm so scared that I have gotten this child that is not going to be on the path like my other children. What is this going to look like? And one of the first things I started hearing was from the siblings of children with special needs. And the majority of the siblings said things like this: I was invisible. We never went anywhere because my sister couldn't. And so when we went to Alaska, very first trip we had taken, this trip my husband has come on. He has not gone on the other trips. 1, because he had to work, but 2, it was important that somebody stay home. And he is, well, my husband's just amazing. He is a martyr. He is always working and just wants the best for us. And so we went to Alaska for a week. And when we got back, I had gotten this message on Facebook, and this woman said, I just wanted you to know that I have a brother. And she was my age, like early 40s at the time, and or mid 40s. She said, and he's 39. And my mother has never left him until this past weekend. She and I went to the mall in Charlotte. We spent the night at a hotel. We went to dinner and we went shopping. And she said, in 39 years, my mother and I have never gone to do something together because she couldn't leave my brother, right? So just like this Jennifer, the new Karen, is saying to me, well, we wouldn't go unless the whole family could go. So here's this woman in her mid-40s who's never had a night with her mother. And she said, and I want to thank you. It's the most powerful message I've ever gotten about the decisions that I'm making and trying to make. And she said, when my mom saw that you went to Alaska, she said, if the debutante can go, so can I. Wow. I'm in Barcelona. It's dark here because it's 1 a.m. So from hearing from siblings who didn't get these opportunities, I really made an effort way back then and thought, I'm going to make sure these experiences happen, because I want and it's easier for me. I have 3 teenagers and then a 10-year-old. So if Amos were the oldest and I had 3 little ones, I can't imagine trying to navigate that. If I didn't have a full-time caregiver nanny for him, I can't imagine navigating that. If I didn't work, I wouldn't have a full-time nanny caregiver. You know, lots of things have to happen for all this to happen. But I'm not going to be on this earth forever. Someday, my 3 children are going to be responsible for him. And I do not plan on him living with them. I do not plan on them being his, caregiver. But I'm not going to be here. And one of them is going to have to check in on him or have him for Christmas or Thanksgiving or the beach or, I want them to love him and appreciate him. I never want them to resent him or to think, you know what, our whole life revolved around him and we're sick of him now. One of the best things that happened this spring, we took Amos on a trip. We took Amos to Jackson Hole to go skiing. And the plan had been, I had gone to the Bahamas a week before with my oldest son for his senior spring break. And the next week, I had planned to stay home with Amos because I didn't want to leave him 2 weeks in a row. So I thought, I'll stay home with him and my husband will take the big three skiing. And then I started thinking about it. I was like, Amos has 3 days off from school. He could go and I could be in charge of him. Like, they're not planning on me going. I wasn't planning on skiing. They had made plans for dinner with friends. Like, I was not in any of the plans. So I went knowing I'm going to be Amos's person. We changed where we were staying. We were going to stay at an Airbnb, which was a little less, but we stayed at the Snake River Lodge because it had an indoor-outdoor heated pool and because you could walk to the slopes. So I'm appreciative that we could do that. Jackson Hole offered us adaptive skiing. We were able to do that 2 days. He went down the hill one time, which was success, as was his just putting on snow boots was pretty incredible. We rode the gondola. We went and tried to meet his siblings for lunch. Sometimes he lasted, sometimes he didn't. We went sledding. We just had a ball. And you know what was the best part of the trip? It was my daughter saying on the way there, this is the first time we've gone on a family vacation since Amos was a baby. And I said, well, we go to Florida, we go to the beach. She said, no, but like a real trip. And I said to them after that ski trip, I said, I'll never leave him again when we go on a ski trip because I now know he can do a ski trip. Is it more difficult? Yes. Did I get to ski? No. But could we make it happen so that maybe I could ski? Could we take somebody with us? Yes. Like, we can make it happen, Do I think someday that I'll be sitting right here at this table with Amos in Barcelona? I sure hope so. I hope someday that my big three are grown up with their own families, and I hope they're joining Amos and I and Daddy on trips. I hope we can take that cruise from Johannesburg to Dubai. I hope that Amos, when they ask me at his transition meeting, what job is he going to do? I've realized he's going to be an autistic travel blogger because he loves to travel. And maybe he'll get all these sponsored trips. And maybe we'll get American Airlines finally to be like, we want to fly you places. So maybe Amos can have a job and travel. And he can get out of darn school. I really think he will be able to do those things. But you know what I've said? We've been here now 3 days. For 3 days, I've said every day, I'm so glad we didn't bring Amos. We had 2 delayed flights. We had hiking through the Paris airport. We have a television in a hotel with no shows that are animated. We have gone to long, lengthy meals. We went on an 8-hour tour today. We have done things that Amos would have not done and not done well. We never could have done this trip with Amos. So for the person out there who says, I wouldn't go if all my children couldn't go, then I'll just say, you do you and I'll do me. But don't think for a minute this is like me being selfish, that I don't want one of my children. When I found out I was pregnant with Amos, I was 10 weeks along. I had been on the pill for years, and lo and behold, I ended up pregnant. And, but my first thought when I got over the shock was, wow, I'm going to have this 4th child. And this 4th child is going to I just pictured this little boy being super durable and keeping up with his brothers and sisters. Just, him playing soccer and baseball and being on the tube and doing everything they wanted to do. And if that child had been born, would he be on this trip? Probably. He probably would be on this trip. Or would we even be on this trip? That's probably more likely. Because I think because of Amos, I really realized I was going to have to do some different things to spend time with my parents. It's hard to, if we go see my parents, I don't really get to spend time with them because Amos takes up so much of my time and energy. So this is a way for us to really pack in a lot of time together in ways that maybe we wouldn't feel like we needed without an Amos, because we could go to dinner more often, or we could just hang out or stop by their house to visit. So I think when somebody doesn't have a special person, they don't really understand, like, I can't take Amos over to my parents' house to visit. Like, do you know what that's like to not be able to take your child to a friend's house to visit? Like, I know the houses that we can go to because they keep toys for Amos there. And he knows where the TV is and where the water is and where the Rice Krispie treats are. Do not give any time justifying this. You know, Janice, I'm not justifying it. I think what's important for me to clarify is that if there's another family out there like mine and nobody has said to them, it's okay to leave someone even when you're their person, I'm so glad that I was encouraged to do that, because I would be so sad if my kids were even where they are now. Like my oldest son is about to go off to college, and my husband's on this trip, which was a really big deal to take 2 weeks off from work. And you know, I don't know if we'll ever get to go on a trip all together again. Will we? What are our summers going to look like? What things are going to happen? You know, my parents are now in their later 70s, and in 10 years, what will that look like? I don't think we'll be on a cruise, you know? And so I guess it's just, I want people to realize, like, boy, what you have today really matters. Even if it's for your parents or for your children, or don't miss a chance. And it doesn't have to be Europe or a cruise or Barcelona. It could be, you know, my daughter and I are going to drive 30 minutes and we're going to go to lunch and we're going to go to TJ Maxx and we're going to just hang out. Which that's something I've really made a commitment to in the last few months, doing some things with her. And I will tell you, our relationship is better. I've had to really pull back from sharing my children on my blog, which they're pretty popular. Obviously, they're fun and funny, and they want more privacy. So I am kind of having to change how I've done that. And that's okay too. You know, I think it's a learning curve, and we're all learning. My parents passed away when I was only 30. Oh, you know, I just, love being with all my people. And when I get home on, well, another week, we will, Amos and I will be locked up tight together. My daughter is going to a camp in Wyoming, and so she has to fly out of an airport, and Amos is not able to go to the airport and not get on an airplane. Like, that's the kind of person I'm dealing with. So for the person that says, oh, they could be fine, you know, flying to Spain, like, I have someone that can't go to an airport without a meltdown if he doesn't get on a plane. We've still got a ways to go. So my mom and dad are going to take my daughter to the airport and tell her goodbye and put her on an airplane. I want to do that. I want to take her and put her on an airplane. My oldest son is going to Korea in August to see a friend. Will I be able to take him then? I don't know. You know, sometimes I have to choose Amos, and sometimes I choose them. And sometimes I have to choose one of the four of them. And, but I tell you what, my daughter won't hold a grudge against me, because she'll know, like, boy, my mom is really doing the best she can for all of us. Or Amos will know, like, my mom was gone, but now my mom and I are doing all these fun things, you know? And shoot, he just wants to go to the water slide. Do you know what it's like to not have the resources to fly all over the world? Do you know what it's like to not have the resources for nice breaks with the nanny? Do I know what it's like? Well, is that a real question? Because I have those things. So that would be like me saying, do you know what it's like to lose your only sibling to cancer when you're 15 and he was 19? It's not really a real question. I think it's sort of an unfair question. I know how grateful I am to have the experiences that I do. I know how grateful I am to have been born into the family that I was, that made sure I got an education. I know how amazing it is to have a job like I have that can pay for a nanny and pay for some trips that we do on our own. Am I appreciative for those things? Abso-fucking-lutely. Sorry for the F-bomb. So I think what you're talking about is people that just do things and have no idea and no appreciation for how amazing they are. So I'm not your person. That's fine. I don't have to be everybody's person. If you're my person, join my subscriber group. It's been really fun. We did a subscriber video today from the antique market in Barcelona. But yeah, I think if you ask my parents that, they would say to you, yeah, we know what it's like, because we didn't grow up like this, you know? And I say to my own children, you know, I don't know if Daddy and I will be able to take you on trips like this, so you better enjoy them. And if we can't, you know what we'll do? We'll go stay in a cabin. We'll camp out in the backyard. We'll eat popcorn and make slushies, you know, because it's awesome. And again, it's about the time together. It seems like you complain a lot, said Sue Ann. That's why you asked. You have no idea how difficult most special needs have it. Most special needs families have it. I have an idea, but you're right. My problems are not... Amos can walk. He is potty trained. He can speak. He doesn't have a feeding tube. You know, I know what a disability can look like. I know what it's like to belong to somebody who's doesn't seem there. My own brother was in a hospital bed for a year and didn't speak, didn't drink, didn't eat for the last 5 months of his life. So I know what it's like to love someone and know that, you would do anything in the world to help them and be with them. So I do know that. Anyway, and I don't usually respond to questions here because I just don't. My subscriber group is more like a conversation, but I think sometimes it's important to address things like this. But I hope that it doesn't seem like I complain a lot, and I hope I don't complain a lot, because I have a great life. I have joy, and I truthfully never thought I'd have joy again after my brother. And it really wasn't until Amos and when I started sharing and writing that the joy came back again. And I'm so thankful for that, because I was happy, but I didn't have real joy. And real joy doesn't come from your circumstances. It comes from inside, and your family, and God. Yes, today on video with my subscribers, my husband pickpocketed me. And the woman that was running the stand at the antique market, I said, she might have tased you. Oh, yeah. He got a 20 in my hotel key, and I have been walking around holding this thing tight against my body. Damn it. Okay, now I really do have to go to bed. Shoot. Now I got to go find my 18-year-old who's meandering around Brazil. Oh, golly molly. Tomorrow we are getting on a cruise. And anybody that thinks I'm living the life of luxury, you know, like any other Miss Hannigans out there, Sue Ann and Jennifer, I ain't going on a cruise with Daddy Warbucks. I'm going with Big Tanda, my husband, and DB, my dad. And if you go on a trip with my dad, you are in for a treat. Because if you are 9 minutes early, you're already late. And you're getting text. And you're asked questions like, I can't believe you don't have your luggage tags. Where are your luggage tags? I don't know. I never got them. Well, what are we going to do? I said, do you have my luggage tags? Oh, well, yeah, I got them. Oh, God. Are your children going to be on their phones the whole trip? Or are they going to plan on hanging out? Oh, golly molly. Your children, is their favorite meal pizza? That's what they're going to remember that their mother cooked. And then meanwhile, my dad's doing this. She's like giving him an evil eye the whole time. And it is funny. And fun and funny. I mean, my papa used to do stuff like this too. But trust me, I'll come home. If this is a complaint, it's just the truth. I will not come home rested. I will come home tired to a person who is going to hold a grudge against me for about 2 days. And I'll be so tired. And then I'll be complaining. So don't tune in then. Carry on. See you from the cruise. And thanks. So if you're worried about taking a trip, or you think you want to take a trip, or you'd like to take a trip, or you'll never take a trip, come take a trip with me.